I am a 40-year-old meat eater trying to transition into a plant-based diet. Life begins at 40, or so they say. But for me, it was more of life begins to end kind of feeling, because some major health issues started to come up. I weighed in at about 176 pounds, or 80 kilograms then. On the day right after my 40th birthday, I had joint pains usually associated with high uric acid or an impending gout. I was a regular beer drinker, consuming about 1 to 3 bottles per day, more during the weekends. I ate an average of 2 cups of rice per meal. So initially, I stopped drinking. My 40th birthday would be the last day I ever drank beer actively. By this point, I was already not eating pork and rarely ate beef. Chicken and fish were my main staple, along with vegetables and fruits as well. I wasn't a die-hard fan of sugar, but I enjoyed the occasional dessert. White rice was the main staple though, which might have been my downfall. Then, some medical event required me to be operated on and required me to have a basic blood chem checkup to make sure that everything was in order before my operation. This was how I found out that I was already diabetic, had an enlarged heart, and was hypertensive. So when I was diagnosed as diabetic, I cut down on my white rice intake to just 1/3 of my usual. Totally eliminated beer and alcohol for 3 months and stopped eating anything that had some form of sugar in it, like sweet fruits, cakes, sauces, and the like. Sourdough bread became a main staple for breakfast, and greens dominated my dinners. In a span of 3 months, I had lost about 15 kilograms, or roughly about 33 pounds. Why am I trying to go plant-based? My ailments are not the reason why I'm starting this thing. When I decided to do this again, I had already lost a lot of weight. So, why am I doing this again? People usually go plant-based because they watched an animal cruelty video, watched a documentary about going plant-based, or because of their care and love for animals and seeing them as beings with feelings and a soul, and because of religious or spiritual reasons. I am doing this partly because of these said things, but they had nothing to do on why I was finally pushed to dive into it completely. Since around 2014 or 15, I have been feeling a nudge from the universe to do this. I've tried several times since, from going for a no-meat diet to eventually pushing myself to do the 7-day vegan challenge, since I have always been hearing it from Infinite Waters videos, whom I've actively followed for years now. But I fell back into being a pescatarian, since it is very hard to not eat some meat with rice. Yes, only Filipinos and Asians would know. And then I went on to sliding back even more into a chicken and fish diet. Not all teachers I was following was saying go for the plant-based diet, but I still had that inner voice calling me constantly through some of the people that I meet. They would usually strike a chord in me whenever I encountered them. I would also see small snippets in TV shows, in artist interviews, and other outside things that would have that little poke feeling that it was calling me and that inner self of mine, and it would respond in a way that could be felt. These cumulative encounters somehow confirmed what my inner self was trying to tell me. Prior to this, I had my own personal spiritual awakening back in 2012. I started to subscribe to the 12 basic universal laws, the first one of which is the law of universal oneness. This belief system I conjured up on my own and eventually learned through research, and was also confirmed by several spiritual teachers I had met personally, starting in 2014 onwards. This was another confirmation that I was on the right path. It is in this aspect I had developed the concept of oneness in me, that we are all part of the cosmic dust that the universe churned out during the Big Bang. And thus, if we are all one and part of the same spirit, then hurting another being is hurting ourselves. This is the whole basis of that inner voice in me. So, what is this channel all about? Basically, this will be a video journal of my journey as a meat eater, trying to transition as a vegetarian and maybe eventually into a full-fledged plant-based diet. This is because I realized that after trying to do this years ago, it cannot be done cold turkey. It should be a slow transition, making the body adapt slowly into a plant-based diet from being a meat eater. Some pointers to remember. I am not doing this to lose weight. I've already lost a lot. I am not yet a full-fledged vegetarian. I still have that occasional fish or chicken when there's absolutely no choice. This is not just a food intake diet. This is a lifestyle change. This may or may not include removal of other aspects of my life, not necessarily connected with food. I am not a chef, not even a good cook, but I can cook, basically. Here, we will try to come up with simple recipes you can have at home, especially if you're just cooking for one or two. I am not an agriculturist, not a green thumb even, but most of the plants I take care of thrive and live. So here, we will try to build a garden of simple organically grown vegetables and herbs that we can use for our everyday basic cooking. I am not a spiritual teacher, not even that well versed about being all spiritual. But I might be spitting some small words of wisdom here and there once in a while that you might be inspired of or learn from. I am just a man, but I am trying to do this not just for myself, but for others who might resonate with what I am trying to do, who are also transitioning or are trying to transition from being a meat eater into a plant-based diet, and those who are being called or are hearing that same inner voice in themselves that they might not yet be paying attention to. I believe that we should live the best life that we can. So every day, we should wake up and live. Hi, I am Caioman, and this is Caioman's Garden Kitchen.